Do you want to retire early or reach financial freedom early? My guess is you do, you just don't know how to get there. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the optimal order that you need to start saving your money and things you need to do with your personal finances in order that are going to help you reach financial freedom faster. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video. I got videos like this coming out every single day. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. In this video, we're talking about the optimal order to save your money so you can reach financial freedom faster. A lot of people like to say retirement. You can retire early. I personally hate that word. I never want to retire. I look at people that retire and they die. Like when you retire and you have no purpose and you're not being intentional about creating a life after you're done working. Like most people, they think about retirement, they go to work and they have this job and they hate their job, so they want to stop. I encourage you to start thinking about life differently. Start trying to think about creating a life that you love and doing so with your money and your relationship with money, how you handle your money, how you start investing your money and saving your money and managing debt, and all these things that go into your life are going to help you create a life that you love. Your relationship with money is going to be one of the most important pillars of your life to accomplish that life that you're after. And ultimately, that's what this is all about. We got to think about where we want to go, reverse engineer process to be able to get there. And so let's go. So what I have here is I'm going to pull up my whiteboard here and pop myself up here, and we're going to talk about this. And so the first thing that you need to do, thing number one, is pay off debt. Now this is going to be like, all right, Chris, obviously, maybe you don't have any debt. Maybe this isn't applicable to you, but I can tell you most people in this country, we're nearing $1 trillion of credit card debt in this nation alone. That doesn't account for high interest debt on personal loans or anything of that nature. Here's the deal. What is debt, right? So there's two things to think about for debt. I would think about any debt that's a higher interest rate, interest is higher than you can earn. That is what I would call toxic debt. Now, full transparency, I'm a big believer, pretty much all debt is bad in some way, shape, or form because it puts you at risk. So that's the first thing. Now, the other thing I would say about debt is simply assets versus liabilities. So if you can leverage an asset, and this is one of the reasons that we do things the way that we do them in this order, and I'm not going to get into the details of this yet, but what we want to do is we want to pay off as much debt as possible. We want to save as much money as possible so we can invest in cash flowing assets, right? And we're going to leverage different forms of assets and capital to be able to accomplish that. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, we want to pay off debt. That is the most important element of everything. Different people are in different situations. Maybe you have no debt. If that is the case, then what we want to do is we want to start saving money. Now, the question is, when we're saving money, here's the deal. A lot of people have money in a 401k. A lot of people have money in an IRA or a Roth or whatever. And here's the deal. You're earning 6 months, maybe you're earning 8% in your Roth, and you feel really good because you got a couple $100,000 in there. But all the while, and you got like 200K sitting in a Roth, but at the same time, you're earning this 8%, but you're paying 20%, on 50K of a credit card, right? So this 20% that you're paying on the 50K basically decimates all the growth from a net worth perspective that you're creating on this 200K. It's just like negative leverage. This is like massive inefficiency that you want to avoid. That's why we pay off this debt. Now, a lot of times what I'm going to say is if this is you, I'm a believer. It doesn't make sense. I know this 200K makes you feel really good about your life, but it's not going to help you get where you want to go. You need to like reduce that money, deploy it into paying off your credit card debt, then work on the fact that okay, what got us into this 50K of credit card debt? What was the cause of this? It was human behavior. It was the way that you behaved with your money, your relationship with that money, the way you made your decisions. You need to work on that so you don't repeat that problem again, that process that got you into that problem in the first place. But then once that's done, now you can start to resave money, because what's going to happen when you do this, right? If you do exactly what I'm talking about by paying and eliminating this debt, what's going to happen is you're going to free up a lot of cash flow, right? Cash flow is going to increase. So you can save more money. Now, how much money do you need to save? It just depends on what you're after. What I would say is, you're going to go there and you're going to try to save as much money as possible, and then you're going to save with the intent of investing. And when you invest, you're going to invest in cash flowing assets. Why is this the case? All right, let's talk about that. So why do we invest for cash flow? Well, I'm a big believer the human brain only allows you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you'll be successful with. So let's just do some math here. The rule of 72 says that if you make $100,000 a year right now at 35 years old, right? The rule of 72 basically says you divide the inflation rate, for instance, by 72, or 72 divided by the inflation rate of 4%, we're going to say, which, by the way, that's low. And that means every 18 years, the money will double, right? So people think about that like, all right, if I were earning 4% on my money, the money is going to double. But no, inflation is working against us. It's the greatest hidden tax in the world. So what's happening here is if you're earning 100,000 at 35, what's happening is a lot of people are saving, thinking about, I need to save based on what my number is at $100,000 a year of income. But at 35 plus 18 is 53 years old. So at 53 years old, without even increasing your standard of living, you're going to need $200,000 because it's going to double. Every 18 years, it's going to double. So then plus 18 equals 71. So at 71 years old, which is basically retirement, this 200,000 turns into 400,000. You basically at 35 years old, you're thinking like, man, you don't even know this. You're not even realizing that the amount of money that you're going to need in retirement to be able to manage and counter inflation. And this is the biggest problem that people don't realize. So now when we go 400,000 divided by 4%, if everybody's familiar with the 4% rule, it means you can distribute 4% of your assets, i.e., to get to this 400,000 and not run a significant risk of running out of money. But if you need $400,000, that means you need to get to $10 million. $10 million of money saved. Now, I don't know a person alive that is following traditional financial strategy that says, I'm going to save, I'm living off 10,000, and maybe I'm going to save, let's say you're really good and you're able to save $20,000 per year. I don't know anybody alive that believes 20,000 a year is going to turn into 10 million. I just don't. It doesn't happen, right? So this is why when I say the human brain only allows you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you'll be successful with, I think intuitively people look at this and they go, there's no way that's going to happen. I can't make that work. So I'm going to erase this now. And I want to talk to you because I just don't have enough room and I don't want to overexpand it. But here's the deal. This is why I want to talk to you about the importance of cash flow investing, because here's the deal. If your job is, let's just say, I'm going to break this number down a little differently just to keep numbers round. If you make $120,000 a year, that would equal $10,000 per month, right? So your goal is $10,000 a month. Cash flow is life. If you have enough cash flow in your life to be able to meet your monthly needs, then you're good, right? That's at the end of the day, that's what matters. You can retire, you could be financially free when you have enough money that will kick off that kind of cash flow. Now we're talking about the other one. That's the whole purpose of saving that $10 million, because that $10 million is the amount needed to produce the cash flow to get you to where you want to go. Now here's the deal. If we could say, hey, how much money do we need to save? That's the question that kind of rolled into this. How much money do I need to save? Well, it just depends on where you are and how much cash flow you want to create, right? So we want to invest in cash flow assets. We want to invest in businesses, I would say. We want to invest in real estate. There's so many different things that we can do. We want to, maybe we want to do hard money lending that will create cash flow. There's other things that we can do, but honestly, these business and real estate are my two favorite things. Now, is it for everybody? No, it's not for everybody. But I would say if you want to get to where you want to go, you better learn new skills. You better grow. You better evolve. You are where you are because of who you are. And if you want to get to this next level in life, you gotta push yourself to learn these skills and to get comfortable with it, right? And that's up to you. I mean, you can do it or not do it. It really doesn't impact my life or anybody else's life. It's going to impact you and your life and your family at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. And so the question is, how much do we need to invest in real estate for cash flow? Well, it's going to be different. Maybe you can start a business for less, right? So I know a lot of people that are doing things like with Turo, for instance. You know, you can go out and buy, you can save money, right? And you save money. And the goal is to save money to invest in cash flow assets. And maybe they want to go out and they want to buy a Tesla, you know, and they want to buy this Tesla, and the Tesla's they can buy it for like $60,000. They can get a used Tesla for $60,000, and they're going to rent this Turo. They're going to rent this Tesla on Turo, and that $60,000 asset. It's a little harder. It's a business. You got to manage it. It's not that hard. My wife and I actually have done this a bit. We don't do it anymore. But at the end of the day, $60,000, you can rent a Tesla here. I looked it up the other day. The average cost of a Tesla is about $230 per day. At $60,000, let's say you self-finance this and you buy it for $60,000 cash. If you do this and you go, all right, 60,000 divided by 230, you're looking at 260 days of rental. 260 days rented. Okay, and that's going to create cash flow. And once you do that, that car will last you like 4 or 5 years. It'll probably have a depreciating value a little bit, right? Like $230 a day right out of the gate for the first year. You know, it might go down to like $190 a day after that. You know, it's going to get rented for less and less and less over time. But at the end of the day, this is going to create cash flow. And this cash flow can be utilized to be popped back into the business. You're going to reinvest it. This is all a side hustle, right? This is not something you're doing to live off this money. You're investing for this cash flow. And the goal is to create cash flow. The goal is to create this ability to kind of like chunk into the cash flow, because remember, you can't get to $10 million mentally or emotionally, like even physically, like technically, you probably don't have any ability to get there, only earning $100,000 right now. But you could work your $120,000, $10,000 a month job, and you could keep doing that, and you could work this side hustle right here, and I'm gonna bubble it up so it's off to the side. But here's the deal, the goal is year one, you got $10,000 of income. The goal is to say, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna earn, I'm gonna create this business. Once I save enough, maybe it takes you a couple of years to save up enough, 3-4 years to save that money. So a lot of people are like, why are you gonna save that money? Why wouldn't you just go invest that money? You're losing opportunity, you're like, whatever. I'm a big believer, you gotta be willing to go slow to go fast. And this save money section, people are too hurried to go and invest too fast. We got to save, but we got to save with the intent of investing so we can do things like this. We can invest for cash flow. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we do this, this is going to create a positive cash flow. Let's say we only bucked it up so it only created a positive $500 per month. Well, now what do we have? Well, we know we have that $500 a month, and we're going to reinvest that, and we're going to compound this cash flow, right? So like that is the thing. So step 4, or I guess step 1, let me recap a little bit. Step 1, pay off debt. Step 2, we're saving money. We're saving with the intent of investing. We're going to invest. When we do invest, we're going to invest in cash flow assets. And then from there, number 4 is we're going to reinvest the cash flow. Why are we doing that? Because we're never living off of the money that we're creating in cash flow. We're only living off our $10,000 a month salary. That's all we're doing. So year 1, if we do this, we pick up $500 a month per month in cash flow. And that doesn't seem like that crazy. I think most people, like, listen, if our goal is to get to $10,000 a month in cash flow, if that's our objective, you've already won the mental battle, because your mind, your psyche, your beliefs, you know what $10,000 a month feels like, so it's more realistic to you. So for you to get there and achieve that goal, you've already, as G.I. Joe used to say, knowing is half the battle. You already know you can do it because you've done it. So you believe it. You believe in yourself. You're going to go out and you're going to do it, right? And so you're going to go for this $500 a month. Now year 2, because you're going to reinvest that cash flow, you have another asset. Hopefully, maybe you can get to $700 a month, right? And there's always like these slow growth years, and then there's going to be big growth years. And so maybe you get to, $1,100 a month after that. And it grows slowly, but what happens is by the time, we're going to go year 4, and maybe it goes to $1,500 a month. But what happens is by the time that happens, you've built some stuff up, and then you start having big months where it jumps, right? It compounds, $3,000 a month in cash flow. And then year 6 could be like $4,500 a month in cash flow, right? And this is if you do this. Now, this can be done and by the time you hit year 10, you could easily be at, $15,000 a year in cash flow, or per month in cash flow. Totally, if you follow this. Now, it seems like a big deal, and it seems like, wow, getting to this number this quickly seems pretty ridiculous, or it seems hard to do. It's kind of outside of your realm of reality to think that you could create that cash flow, but I'm going to encourage you to believe that you are going to grow to become who you need to be to get to that number. This number is not realistic for you right now, but the reality is you're going to start with $500 a month, or maybe $200 or $300, whatever that number is for you, and you're going to grow, and you're going to learn, and you're going to continue to improve, and then you're going to get to 7, and then you're getting to 1,100, and even 1,100 might seem ridiculous or challenging or hard, difficult, impossible for you now, but by the time you get to 1,100, it's going to feel very, very normal, and then getting to 1,500 is just going to be like, yeah, well done, now you've learned these skills. Getting to 3,000 is going to feel like no problem. So you're going to build your belief in yourself, because you're going to build your skills, and you're going to build a track record of success as you go, and you're going to become who you need to be to get to where you want to go. And that's why I love doing this stuff. Reinvesting your money for cash flow is a huge deal. And at the end of the day, by year 10, when you reach this, now you're going to reach what I call your freedom number. You have the ability to show up however you want, right? Now, you could quit your job at this point in time and be completely free. You could do this through real estate. You could do it through Turo. You could do it through another business. It doesn't really matter. You could do it in investing in other people's businesses. You could do it in a lot of different ways. Heck, if you got to drive Uber to create a side hustle because you have no skills immediately, but you just reinvest that money and you're investing it in other things and you're saving it and you're being really intentional about what you're doing with that side money. Maybe the side hustle is used to pay off debt and accelerate that pay down, and then you save the money, and then you're doing it to invest in cash flow assets, and you're reinvesting that cash flow, and then you're going to reach your freedom number. And freedom number is when you have choice. You can show up and keep working, or you can keep building your empire, so to speak, right? At the end of the day, people ask, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I'm building my properties and doing the stuff we're doing in the Dominican Republic, and we're launching the fund down there. We're doing all this stuff. It's because it's like the freedom number is no problem, but what we have is we have our impact number. And the impact number is, what do we want to do in this world? We want to impact other people's lives. We want to be able to elevate other people. We want to be able to help people in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, to be able to elevate their opportunities and educate them and open up opportunity, reinvest in, donate, start charities, build orphanages, do things like that are going to help people. At the end of the day, I encourage everybody to think about that. And really what it comes down to is it's not that complicated, guys. It's really not that complicated when it comes down to it. You need to eliminate your debt. You need to save money. You need to invest for cash flow. Stop running the hamster wheel. Stop trying to save in a 401k and accumulate money for future, in an environment that nobody knows 30 years from now what the economy is going to look like. You're not going to beat inflation long term. I mean, I showed you the numbers. It's really straightforward. For you to beat that, it's going to be like a unicorn event. You need to put yourself in a position where you're actually growing and becoming who you need to be to get to where you want to go. And this is the process. So you want to pay off debt, save money, invest for cash flow. Don't live off that cash flow immediately. Reinvest the cash flow. When you reinvest the cash flow, then you're going to reach your freedom number, then you're going to reach your impact number. And ultimately, you can do all this in the next 10 to 15 years at the most. That is why I wrote my book, Cashflow Hacking. That is why I'm so passionate about teaching people this, because people are going through life 30, 40 years just kind of being drones and just going through life and thinking that they have to live their life financially through this system when they can be much more intentional about creating the life that they love. And if you want to do it, this is the process that I believe you have to follow. Be curious to hear your feedback. Comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell that way you're notified every time I launch a new video. We got videos coming out every single day. So till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. Hopefully you found value in this. We'll talk soon. See ya.